Hello everyone, my name is Ben Absher. I am the Business Development Representative here at the Smart Factory Institute in Cleveland, Tennessee. I'm here today with the CEO of Peak Perfromance, Denise Hall, operators of the Smart Factory. Denise, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's great to be here,
Great.
and I'm super excited to be kicking off this series of episodes of Inside the Smart Factory.
Perfect. Well, we're really excited about Inside the Smart Factory. It's something that we're really excited to kick off today. My first question for you is just give us a little bit of background about yourself and your experience within the industry.
I have spent 35 years in manufacturing, so I am definitely a blue jean, safety glass, steel-toed type of gal. And I worked 26 years just for Corning, Corning Incorporated, and I've operated facilities in 4 different states, so Pennsylvania, New York, North Carolina, and Tennessee. And then I was fortunate enough that my last assignment was Corning was a worldwide manufacturing effectiveness, and we had 3 sites in China. And so yes, it's been a lot of fun.
Very cool. Making a lot of trips, I'm sure, with that. So
Yeah.
your career is obviously you're very well versed, and so you know the manufacturing industry better than anyone. So my first question for you today is you're going to educate myself and our audience here on LinkedIn today. Why is developing the workforce become just as important as investing in new technology?
Yeah, I think it's important to realize that equipment and technology is really a commodity, which actually depreciates over time, and we see that as we have new technology. Every day it depreciates in value. But people can be your competitive advantage, and investing in your people is what's really important to kind of put you in an area of that differentiates yourself from other companies. And a really good example of this is that we have a company locally from here that have invested millions of dollars to upgrade their process. And they put in a new automated line, and they weren't realizing the investment, the return on the investment of what they had they invested into the technology. And it was due to downtime and issues that they were having with running that line. And Peak Perfromance provided a mechatronics training class to their operators, so the people running the line, not just their maintenance, but the people running the line. And through that training, they were able to upskill their mechanical, electrical, and troubleshooting skills. And they were able to hit a 96% OEE, shortly after that. And we deliver our training in small modules, 3-hour modules. It was over an 8-week period, so the operators could really digest, and they could really apply what they learned to what was happening on the production line. So my advice to anybody implementing technology is to really understand the industrial skills that your employees need to operate that technology.
Okay, perfect. That's fantastic. Well, with that being said, the evolution of technology always moving forward, always changing. How has the role of the incumbent worker changed over the last 5 years?
Yeah, I think that's really important to note that the frontline worker, not just over the last 5 years, but also, over time in manufacturing, it has been brawn, right? Yeah. It's been physical. And through our research with the University of Tennessee, we were able to identify what those skills are that manufacturers really need, or what the workers really need. And in the past, it was always those physical skills, but now we see that they also need to have technical skills, methodological skills, social, believe it or not, even though we're going more and more technology, they need to, it increases their needs for social, and then intrapersonal skills. So this is how they can manage their own time, and how they can manage all the notifications and messages that are coming to them. The research is really fascinating, and I always say then that we are smarter than just saying hard skills and soft skills anymore. We really know what those specific skills are. And we're able to go into companies and be able to do a job analysis, a very comprehensive job analysis specifically in these 5 areas. So we can give their management what specifically their employees need for each and every job.
Wow. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
My next question for you is, what happens when manufacturers invest in automation and the technology within their plant, but they're not investing in workforce development?
Yeah, so I call this monument tech,
Okay.
right? And it's like that Peloton that sits in your corner of your bedroom and you throw clothes
Yeah.
on it, right?
Forget about it.
You forget about it, that's exactly right. And so when you take technology and you invest that money and the employees aren't trained and they're not sure how to operate it, you're just not going to get the return on your investment. Another example is we had a manufacturer who invested heavily into automated guided vehicles, AGVs.
Okay. Yeah.
And they started to see that over time that always on the night shift they were breaking down, and the employees would kind of kick them out of the way and pull out the whole manual pallets.
Gotcha.
and do things the old way because they were comfortable with that and they knew how to do that. Interesting enough, as the engineers dug into it and tried to figure out why it kept breaking down, they weren't breaking down at all. Their batteries were running out, and they had never trained the employees on how to, how to troubleshoot, how to understand, it's out of charge, and how to charge them.
Yeah.
So, very, very simple example of how without training your employees, your tech is not providing you the results that you need.
To that point, then, we see the manufacturers investing in robotics and automation and artificial intelligence. Why is it that oftentimes the return on investment with these new technologies and automation is dependent on the skill of the worker?
Technology adoption is really psychological.
Yeah.
And we don't really realize that. We forget about that. We get excited about the tech and the new stuff, the engineers that are working on it. And I can say that because I'm an electrical engineer. But when you have unused or misunderstood technology, that is equivalent to zero ROI. And so SESME has done a study that 80% of technology projects actually fail. And 80%.
Wow.
And the number one reason is not the technology itself. The two top reasons is that either the people, they didn't embrace it, they didn't understand it, or two, the process wasn't stabilized in order to implement it. So I think that it's really important for manufacturing leaders to not be so crazy about where am I going to put this tech. They got to really look and see what is the business reason of why I'm investing this tech here, what problem am I trying to solve, and then make sure that they have a workforce that's ready for that.
So what are common mistakes then that manufacturers make when implementing this new technology?
Well, I think I shared with you that I'm a former plant manager, and there's more than once, sorry to say, I got excited about a project that we were working on, and we would work with the vendor, we would design the equipment, and then one day, a truck would back up to our dock, and we'd throw open the dock door, and we brought out this piece of equipment, and our operators did not react positively. They were afraid of what was going on because we hadn't included them in the process of determining what technology was needed and how to implement it. And so I think that it's really important that manufacturers and manufacturing leaders are able to customize a training plan. Realize this is a journey. You can't just throw up a 30-minute PowerPoint of here's our new equipment, this is what we're now implementing, and you're all expected to run it. It's going to take time. You have to have continuous training over a period of time, and be able to do that. I think this is a great segue into our Smart Factory Tech Days. And if you think about what's the purpose of that, is we're providing an opportunity for people to come here to the Smart Factory Institute and hear about tech partners for free, right? They'll provide a small little training session on what their technology is. And oftentimes we also include lunch in that, and so, but through those tech days, people can start to get experience and really understand what that technology is.
it's important to be aware of what's out there, especially as your workers are implemented into the new plant.
And it's changing every day.
Yeah.
There's new things every day, and it's so connected that trying to really understand how do I get the most out of my technology.
Yeah. So you talked about opening that bay window and bringing in that new technology, and your workers on the line not being excited about it.
No.
How can training reduce the mistakes and the inability to want to adopt that new technology from the workers?
Well, let's just be clear. Resistance to technology is equivalent to fear.
Yeah.
And it's fear that they're going to be shown that they might be incompetent, or it's fear that they aren't going to be able to understand, or they're not going to be able to do it. My dad was a tool maker, and I remember, this was before Industry 4.0 days, but we always have new technology.
Yeah.
And I remember when the CNC machines came out and, some of the new technology, he was fearful that he was going to lose his job, that he'd be replaced by technology. And we know that technology is not going to replace people. Look at the history.
Yeah.
Granted, are there any Bell operators anymore today? No. Granted, travel agents have really declined, the number of travel agents that are required, because they're being replaced by technology. However, there still is a shortage of labor for that. And so I think people need to understand is technology is to help support you in what you do, is to be a tool that you're going to use and be able to really help you achieve more or be more productive. And so I always think about that machinist or that experienced maintenance guy who feels maybe a little bit of anxiety around that technology and what that's going to do. And so I think that as a manufacturing leader, if we're providing that knowledge and providing that training, we're actually empowering our people, and that they're going to feel more confident in it, and that's the best way to overcome resistance to technology.
That's the exact word I was thinking of, not replacing or diminishing, but empowering the worker to do their job more efficiently, more effectively, and hopefully a little bit easier
Do you
as
use
well.
technology today in your job?
I couldn't complete my job without my technology, and so I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, and as we continue to embrace and grasp like artificial intelligence and big data analytics, we'll understand that really that is to make us more efficient and to really help us so that we're not doing some of those menial type steps and able to, the days of pushing paper or over, those things can be automated so that we can really spend our time on our core competencies and those things that we do really, really well.
Totally. So after listening to this today, Denise, there's manufacturers out there, I'm sure, who are like, I need to go to Denise and ask her. I realize the importance of investing in workforce training. If I can make one investment this year, what do you think the specific training I would need for my manufacturers in this given year?
So that's an easy question, Ben. It is definitely that foundational culture of analytic thinking. And what I mean by that is really making sure that your employees are not just coming in and pressing buttons or just doing their tasks on a day-to-day. And I think a really good example of this is our Peak Performance 3-part structured problem-solving course. We start off with just a half-day block of critical thinking, and you wouldn't, you might be a little bit taken back, like, really, we're going to teach people how to think, but it really is getting into that being able to critically think. We have so much information coming to us every day, all the day, that sometimes we're just absorbing and accepting it because you can't critically think about it all. So how do you get your employees to engage in the workforce, block out some of that messaging, and be able to really critically think through their job? The second part of that class is root cause analysis. Really teaching people how to properly troubleshoot, how to really understand cause and effect, how to really understand how do we solve problems forever, not just for the time being, but how do we really solve it at the end. And then lastly would be the 8D methodology, making sure that we understand, sometimes we put temporary fixes in place. It might be a containment issue so that we're not sending bad product to the customer. But I think for anybody who is very interested in building that culture, they can reach out to you or me, and we can kind of help them get to where they need to be.
So on the flip side of that one manufacturer that I presented to you, say there's someone who's like a little hesitant. I don't know if I need workforce training for my crew. What would you tell them on why workforce training is worth the investment for their plant?
So if you aren't actively upgrading your workforce's skills, you're falling behind. And we see things are moving so quickly that this is critical. And there's that old adage, well, what if I train my employees and they leave? And the flip side of that old adage is what if I don't train them and they stay? Right? And as a plant manager, I did have a healthy training budget. And I used to always think that if I don't train them, somebody else will.
Yeah, wow.
And so, trying to retain them and give them the upskilling that they need to perform to the best of their ability is really, really important. And so we need to stop looking at training as an expense, and we need to look at it as an investment, and in some cases even an insurance policy that you're going to be able to do that. And I would say anybody who's skeptical, they should join one and attend one of our signature events that we hold here at the Smart Factory. We hold 5 events a year, signature events. We hold many events here, but we hold at least 5 signature events that are focused in different areas like advanced automation, maintenance and reliability, workforce, critical networks, and then of course our best practice, our Peak Perfromance Symposium on best practices, as well as we do expositions for technology. And I think joining any of those events would be really, really helpful for people to get some exposure to what we do here.
Yeah, it's a first step to a long process of training and getting better, truly. Well, we want to thank you guys so much for joining us today. What Denise has shared with us today, and I think what is clearly been communicated, is that many manufacturers realize that there's a need to adopt new technology. But our plants aren't going to get better if we don't have the people and the processes to be able to accomplish those things and implement that technology correctly. And so that's why it's so important to have workforce training, to invest in your people, and make sure your plant is running well. So thank you, Denise, for sharing some insights with us today.
Thank you, Ben. This has been fun.
Yeah, it's been so fun. And we're excited to kick off the Inside the Smart Factory. I'm excited to see where this goes along the way. We thank you for joining us today, and you can find us more on LinkedIn as well as other socials at the Smart Factory Institute and Peak Perfromance Inc. Thank you so much for joining us.